Multiversus, the game that can go beyond your wildest dreams. What Space Jam 2 had set up for us is finally here as a game, but in better shape than you would actually imagine. This is the type of game that you can fight Super Saiyan Goku version of Shaggy versus Batman, Superman, Taz, Bugs Bunny, Jake the Dog, Finn the Human, Harley Quinn, Arya Stark, and many more, and the list is only going to grow as we know that Rick and Morty will be joining, and if you've looked at leaks, you can also see the likes of other Looney Tunes, other Cartoon Network characters, other Game of Thrones characters, and so many more have the possibility to join this, since Warner Brothers could be bringing in so many different characters to this brand new Super Smash Brothers clone, you could say. But I think it does enough to establish itself as its own, and that's why in today's video we're going to be diving into the multiverses, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because I think it has an amazing concept. But the second I saw that this was going to be free to play, I knew there were going to be issues that I was going to have with this that do hold the entire game from being awesome and perfect and dragging me back every single time, and I hope to address those issues today. And I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this game. Have you already downloaded it? Have you not? Have you played it at all? Let me know down below what your guys' thoughts are, and also let me know what your main is and who some of your favorite characters that you have that you get to play as, because there's a lot. And I'm really excited to see what other characters could potentially join this game. And as just a little bit of background context, I am a massive Super Smash Brothers fan. I've been playing Super Smash Brothers since the GameCube days. I never had an N64, so I did not play the N64 game back in the day, but I have played it recently, and it's still a lot of fun. But for me, Smash Brothers was everything. Finding out that all these characters could cross over into one different game to battle each other out is something that, again, I never thought I would see in a game. And when I played it, it blew my mind. I remember this kid came to my school. His name was DJ, and really cool kid. And he's sitting in class and he's telling me about this game where Mario and Link are fighting, and Donkey Kong and Yoshi are coming to attack. And again, I know a lot of you guys are like, but Zach, you didn't hear about Super Smash Brothers before from the N64? No, I didn't. The GameCube was really my big introduction to this all. And I went to his house after school, and I was freaking blown away, and I had to get a GameCube. I had to get this game, and I got it, and I was addicted, and I've played every single Smash Brothers, and I've played every Smash Brothers clone that there is that developers have tried to make. I played the PlayStation All-Stars, which I actually think was quite underrated, and I wish PlayStation would just bring that back, because I thought that was a really cool concept, and there's a lot of cool fighters in there, like Dante and the Big Daddy. And then we got the Nickelodeon All-Stars Super Smash a little bit ago. That was fun. Not great, but it was fun, and there's been a ton of clones like this, and Multiversus is the most recent one. So for me, going into this, I was not expecting much. When it was announced, I'm like, oh, this is going to come around, be a big thing, and kind of fall apart. But in particular, this is actually one of the biggest games that has come out in the last 6 months, and a lot of people are playing it. In fact, it's still in beta. So the fact that this game is still doing great is a big thing to discuss, and that's where I am very excited to kind of dive into this. So starting with the good, because like I mentioned, we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I want to talk about the good parts about this, because I think there is a lot of greatness, and that is the characters. This game has a roster so far that is only going to continue to grow, but we have the Iron Giant, Taz, Velma, Arya Stark, Batman, Bugs Bunny, Finn the Human, Garnet, Harley Quinn, Jake the Dog, Rain Dog, which is like a brand new character that they created just for Multiverses, Shaggy, Steven the Universe, Superman, Tom and Jerry, and Wonder Woman, plus with more to be revealed. As we know right now, LeBron James also got added to the game recently, and this is only going to grow and continue to be more exciting. But the thing about these characters is that each and every one of their movesets add something dynamic and unique, and some of these characters you're not going to use for every single battle. There's different modes like 1v1, of course, 2v2, 4v, like free-for-all. But the 2v2, I think, is where this game really succeeds in its successor and actually being a little bit different than Smash Brothers. Because while Smash Brothers, yes, you could make it to be said, yes, teamwork needs to be in there, but most of the time it's knowing your moves, doing what you need to do, and not falling off that map and beating the crap out of your opponents. You can play Multiverses like that, But different combinations of characters are what's going to make you really succeed and go over the hedge and go over the top of what other people are going to be doing. And this game is going to get pretty competitive very soon if you are not jumping into this. And that is kind of a worry of mine for people who are just trying to have fun with this, but that's a worry for the future. But I think that's where it's really cool to see that, if you're using Rendog, who I'm not the biggest fan of, and I do suck at the character, but he has this linking ability where he links with his person, and if his teammate's starting to fly off the map, he can pull him back up. And that's really cool to me, that each and every one of the characters has something like that is dynamic. Some characters do more damage, some characters get more damage, but they are super fast and agile. Some characters are like mages, and that's one of the things, is that there's classes for each and every one of these. That's something that we have not seen before, and it adds a whole unique dynamic, because are you just going to have two different brawlers or bruisers on your thing who are just tanks for the team? And each team member, every character does something different, and it really results back to the characters that you play as, and any of the shows that you've kind of seen them in. Specifically, like even Iron Giant, who is the biggest character out of everyone in this game, and he's gigantic, so he takes a lot of damage, but he is hard to hit off the map because he's heavy as hell, and he moves slow, but he does a lot of damage back. And I really like how he can take so much different damage. Like one of the times when I was playing the game, someone was playing as Iron Giant, and I barely got hit because he would take like every single hit from me, and it was so hard for them to knock him off the map just because he's such a heavy, tanky character. So again, the characters, the classes, the gameplay all brings about this unique style that could have come off as a gimmick, but thankfully did not. And I think that is where Multiversus succeeds more than any other Smash Brothers clone as there ever has in the past. And I don't think this is as great as Smash Brothers, but I think it's pretty damn good. And that's saying a lot, the fact that I've actually put a lot more time into this, because PlayStation All-Stars I only really played when I had friends around. Same thing with Nickelodeon All-Stars or Super Smash, whatever the frick it's called. Super Smash Brothers is the only version of this that I've actually continued to play by myself, and Multiversus is one of those as well. But it's not just those that lead to the good of this game. It's the graphical style. The way that each character kind of has their own structure and own cartoonish drawings to it. Some reminisces back to actually how you would see them in cartoon or TV form, and some don't. Of course, Arya Stark is live action, so them having to adapt it to this looks a little bit different, but I do kind of like it. It kind of gives me this concept art look, if you've ever looked at the Game of Thrones concept art at times, and some of it's quite stunning and beautiful, and there's rumors that the Hound might join in, which is just so freaking exciting to me. But that's where I go, is that the graphic style brings a certain nature and something unique that this game has over other games, and it goes to the backgrounds and certain things. And we'll talk about the battlegrounds that you actually fight on. They're fine. I think they could be a little bit better. Same with some of the items that they drop in, but I still really like the graphical style that they have in here. And that goes also to the music, which the music in each and every area really plays up to it. The Scooby-Doo Haunted Mansion is awesome. The Batcave is probably easily the best map because of the music it plays, the homages, as well as everything going on in the Batcave and what you can actually do for destruction. And the Easter eggs there as well are heavily beautiful as well, and the way that they touch in to some of the past things. One of my favorite things is when you actually knock out a character, you have the potential, like you can add on the Looney Tunes things where it says, "That's all, folks," and I love that. I love that they just have those little attention to details every single place, and it really is fascinating to see what they were able to do with this game. The last thing I want to mention when it comes about the good is actually the leveling up system that you have for each character. If you have a main, that one that you really like to touch on, you can actually level them up, give them perks, and these definitely absolutely help in the battle. If you're going up against a team that does not have these yet, absolutely you need to go level that character up and then come back. So I think that adds some more competitive gameplay, which again, maybe in the future, like I mentioned, could be bad for new players who are just coming in after the beta, or maybe kids who decide to join a year from now if this game is still a thing. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's talk about the bad though. And the bad really comes down to some of the balancing issues. I know this is a beta and we can revisit this in a couple months when it comes out of beta, but the balancing issue with certain characters is absolutely ludicrous, and some characters are way too overpowered, and some characters are way too underpowered. Superman, for me, is absolutely the most underpowered, tanky character that is slow as shit, and I just do not understand how they decided to make this character that way. Whereas when you look at different ones, like LeBron James, who is absolutely completely unfair in the game if you know how to use him, there is some certain things that they really do need to touch on and fix when it comes to balancing, which I'm sure they will. The bad also is the maps. Again, I know it's a beta, but this is something I'd like them to address, is that every map feels the same. I don't really care what's going on in them, and there's not just anything really there. There's not anything for me to really gravitate to, and it feels a bit repetitive, and it kind of keeps me a little bit not wanting to come back to the game as much as I wish I would, because the maps I do think are a big part of the entire thing. Modes as well, I feel like could absolutely be a little bit more redefined. I really only care about the teams mode. Every other mode I've always found a little bit more lackluster or boring and just typical as all before. And that's really the bad. But what is the ugly? Ugly is the microtransactions, which are fucking god-awful. They are awful. And I knew, seeing that this game was going to be free to play, that the microtransactions were going to be insanely stupid and terrible. There is a battle pass system in here. It is not worth your time, to be honest, and you can buy battle passes for each character that you want. You can either grind out, or you can fork out like $7 to buy a character, which I will give them credit where credit is due, is that you can actually try the character in training mode before you actually buy them, which thank God they decided to do that, because I would be absolutely pissed if I spent $7 on a character and then I absolutely hated playing as them. Because say I love the character, and I'll put this in perspective, Iron Giant is one of my favorite movie characters of all time, but trying him out in training mode, I fucking hated playing as him. I thought he was awful, and I just did not like the gameplay for him. But again, that's me. One of my best friends loves playing as the Iron Giant, so that's been his character. That's just not the type of character I like playing as. I'm more on the assassin type, like Harley Quinn, Arya, and of course Finn the Human. So that's the one thing I'll give them credit where credit is due. But I do think the microtransactions are insane, and I wish this was just a $60 game that I could buy, and then that there's additional like an additional season pass, kind of how Smash Brothers did it. And I know Nintendo thinks very much in the old ways, and this is kind of the new way going forward, is that microtransactions are the way to get money. But for me, it turns me off. There's so much shit going up on the menus. I find something cool, and then I find out, oh, I gotta pay $5-7 for this. And I have not spent a single cent on this game yet. I refuse to until I absolutely think I need to. I would rather grind it out for an hour or two to get a character, and I've probably played about 20 hours of this game just doing that. But it was fun for what I did. But the ugly part is the microtransactions, and I do think they need to touch on that before it gets worse. And I know that there are like founder packs and things that you can buy for those, but it still just doesn't seem worth it for a game. In the end of the day, it feels a little bit cheap, in that I would rather just grind out and buy what I want. And it sucks to see that such a great game is held back by microtransactions like this. And I'm sure it's not just from the developer's point of view. I know that this game was created to make money for the studio, but it feels like there was something special here that they could have really gone above and beyond for. And I actually hope in the future they look at it and go, I know microtransactions will always be a thing, but I think they should pull back and be like, if you buy a base $60 version of this game, you get up to this many characters, this many things. And if you want to buy into the battle pass, you still can. If you want to buy into this, you still can. But I think that's what's going to start to hold back some people from playing this game a little bit more, is depending on how that is completely handled and how certain characters are priced at. And that's my one thing, because I've always come down to that anything cosmetic, if you want to make a microtransaction for, that is completely fine. Completely understandable, and I can completely get what you mean by making, a cosmetic thing microtransaction. Cool, you want this awesome outfit for this character? Okay, that's going to cost you $5. Now, why I think that's absolutely insane, we live in a world with NFTs, so that's one thing to think about right there. When you have a character, say for instance, if they were to bring Walter White into the Multiversus, which I think is a character a lot of people are hoping comes into, maybe has been leaked, but I'm not sure on that. If that character were to come in and then absolutely dominate and be like one of the best characters out there, well, there's a balancing issue there. And what happens when you buy that character? Well, then you're going to have the outperforming of everybody else and be able to go above and beyond everybody else because you're able to buy that character. There's balancing things within that are going to be a little bit disappointing to me, and I think we've seen this in later games, such as like when you look at Warzone and Vanguard Call of Duty, is that some people use guns that are the meta, and yeah, you can for sure unlock them in Warzone, but it takes forever. So what's the easier way to do it? You buy Vanguard, you play Vanguard, you play the shit out of it, you get the weapon, you upgrade that weapon, you put it in Warzone, then 2 months later they degrade it. This is what happens a lot. So I'm a little bit disappointed with the microtransactions overall, but with that said, I think the Multiversus is a really awesome Smash Brothers clone, but I wouldn't even call it a clone. I think this is its own unique thing that's really much just an homage to Smash Brothers. And I think Multiversus is and could be that next amazing fighter. And even potentially could be one of the best. It's something that could be memorable. But right now, it's a product of its time. And they need to really get ahead of this entire microtransaction thing, kind of readjust it just a bit to make it work a little bit more wonders. This is a game that could really work well, and I really hope the developers and the studio take this into consideration when creating this, because this type of game, 5-10 years from now, will not be remembered. But you know what will be? Smash Brothers. You know what will vaguely be remembered? PlayStation All-Stars. And a lot of the reason being because it's not held back by something that's a product of its time. Microtransactions will always be around, then it'll eventually be replaced by something else. But eventually we're going to go back into an era that's going to be different than microtransactions, and that's where Multiverses will be held back a lot more. I feel like microtransactions really slowly started to steadily start out in mobile gaming and just creeped its way into all console games, and I think it's something that needs to be fixed. And I'll probably do a video on why microtransactions are fucking terrible. But thank you guys again so much for watching this. If you enjoyed this, make sure to hit that like and subscribe, and we have gaming videos coming out every single week, sometimes even more during the week. And if you have any thoughts or ideas or any games you want us to cover, make sure to let us know down below. Right now I'm currently working on a video called God of War 4 in 2022. This is in highly anticipation for the new God of War game. We also have a brand new history video essay coming out probably in the next 2 months, where we're going to discuss all of the history of Call of Duty before the brand new Modern Warfare 2 comes out. So thank you so much again for watching this, and of course until next time, stay classy and keep playing games.